Welcome back, everybody. Here's goal number 2. In this goal, we're talking about factoring by grouping. Now, grouping, the definition of grouping means that we have parentheses involved in the problem. The process for this means that we're going to be doing factoring by GCF 3 separate times. So like we just did in the first section, you're going to be taking out the GCF 3 separate times. Now, there's a 4-step process when you're going through and doing these. So here's the process. First, you're always going to group the terms together. Group the first 2, group the second 2, and that's step 1. Step 2 is to take the GCF out of the first group, and step 3 is take this GCF out of the second group. And then step 4 is take the GCF out of both terms. So you'll notice, again, we did GCF 3 times on this. So let's look at some examples. In example letter A here, we have 4 terms. Grouping will always have 4 terms. And when we group this, you're going to group the first 2 together, group the second 2 together, just like it said to do in the directions there. From this, step 2 is take the GCF of the first group. The biggest thing they all have in common is a 2. So we're going to be left with C minus D. What do WC and WD have in common? This is step 3. We're going to take out the GCF, and they both have a W in common, which will leave me with just a C minus D. Hopefully, once you've done this, you recognize that these 2 factors, whatever we end up with right here, it should always be identical to what we get right there, if you've done this correct. So we've done steps 1 and 2 and 3. We grouped them, GCF of the first, GCF of the second. Now we have to take the GCF of both parts. We just did it. These 2 are what are in common between these 2 separate terms. This is a term right here, and this is a term right here. So the 2 that they share is a C minus D. If we take this out as the GCF, we're going to be left with C minus D is what we're taking out. Pull that away, and we're left with, hopefully you can see, a 2 plus W. And so we are done. Now again, just like in the last examples, you can check your answer. If I go back and do the quote-unquote FOIL, as you guys like to call it, 2 times C is 2C. C times W is WC. Negative 2 times D is negative 2D. And negative D times W is negative DW. All right. So let's do a couple more examples here. Remember, write it down, pause it, try it. If you could do it, great. Check your answers, though. Looking at the second example here. Biggest value that 28 and 16 are all divisible by is just a 4. They have a v squared in common. So we're left with 7v plus 4 for that first one. On this one, you'll notice that the leading term is negative. And because the leading term is negative, we have to factor out a negative. So we're going to factor out a negative 7. Not negative 7. A negative 3. Sorry. Because 21 and 12 are divisible by just 3. That's going to leave us with a 7v and plus 4. Now, when we look at these, what do they have in common? They both have a 7v plus 4. So then let's pull that out. And we're left with a 4v squared minus 3. And there's your answer. Okay. A couple more. Again, write it down, pause it, try it, and then check your answer. So on this one, the biggest that they're divisible by is a 4. So we have 4v squared, because there's 3 here and 2 here. They only have 2 in common. We're left with a v minus 3. And then for negative 5v plus 5, or plus 15, because the leading term is negative again, we have to take out a negative. So we'll take out a negative 5, and that'll leave me with y. Why am I saying y? Sorry. That'll leave me with v, and then minus 3. Again, the v minus 3s are common. They're shared between them. So let's take that out, v minus 3, and we are left with 4v squared minus 5. And there's your ending result. 2 binomials multiplied by each other. Last one, these are some bigger numbers, but still the exact same process. Biggest value I could divide 49 and 35 by is going to be 7. They have two x's in common. It's going to leave me with 7x minus 5. And then 56 and 40, the biggest value I can divide both of these by is 8. And that's going to leave me with 7x minus 5 again. Once we've done that, you'll see again, we've got two binomials that are identical to each other. So let's factor out that 7x minus 5. Take that away, and we are left with 7x squared plus 8. There you go. So as long as you're good at doing GCF, you're going to be really good at doing factoring by grouping. Again, this method is only used when we have 4 terms. I hope this helped. Have a great day.